Hello and welcome to the Nature's Academy video tutorial on how to access data from the Citizen Science database, download it, and create a pie chart. A couple of ways to get to the database. You can navigate to our homepage, naturesacademy.org, click on Citizen Science database. You can also click on the link in the description box below this video. Nature's Academy contributes data you can see here right on Florida's Gulf Coast, and our partner, the Galveston Bay Foundation, also contributes data from their area of the Gulf. The database itself is managed by the Gulf of Mexico Coastal Ocean Observing System, GCOOS for short. Today we're just going to be looking at our Nature's Academy data that's collected by our program participants. Click on Get Data right up here, come down to Nature's Academy. Right, so on either side you can see filters that we will be using to narrow down our data. Today we're going to be looking at the most abundant animals that were caught at Coquina Bayside in 2017. We want to represent a full year of data. So we're going to select on 2017 over here in the year filter, and Coquina Bayside and Coquina Bayside Lefis Key. These data points came from the same location. They were just called different things when they were uploaded. If you've seen our other videos, this process is very familiar to you, so you're getting a bit of a refresher. Now we're looking at the most abundant animals for the entire year of 2017. With these filters, you have the flexibility to test every single Monday in September and see which ones were the most commonly caught animals. But for our purposes, we're just using the year and the location. Scrolling down to Data Table, it's down a little bit. We're going to click on Show 10 Rows. Instead, we want to show all. That way we don't have to download 10 rows of data at a time. So with the column visibility function, what that does is it changes what you see here. So you can see there's about 24 parameters that we can select from. We're actually going to deselect all of the ones that are showing up now because we only need one column. And that one column is most abundant species. Good. So we don't need date, we don't need site because we used our filters. We know that the data table is only representing data from that date and from that site. Now that we have our one column, we're going to click on Save as XLSX. It's an acronym for a spreadsheet. And since we know this data and this download is from a secure source, we're going to click on Enable Editing. Right. So to make our lives a little bit easier, we're going to sort all of this data from A to Z. Click on A to highlight the whole column. Come over to the Sort and Filter function, sort A to Z, and it's done. Quick check shows that yes, it did in fact sort A to Z. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a table that Excel can read because unfortunately it can't figure out what we want from this. So we're going to create a table, again a similar process that you've seen in previous videos if you've watched them. We're going to create our own table. Let's put animal and number, short and sweet. I like to bold my titles, but that's more of a personal preference. And let's start with barnacles. So we're going to count, scoot this over a little bit, give it a little breathing room. There we go. We're going to count how many times barnacles were the most abundant species. And we could go through and count 1, 2, 3, but instead we're going to let the technology do the work for us. We're going to use a function that Excel has built right into it. So come into this cell here underneath number, equals, we're going to use the count if formula. Open parenthesis, bring it down here. So that's our range. Now we need a criteria. Since this is all words instead of numbers, we have to do a little convincing to get Excel to count how many cells have the word barnacle in it in that given range that we've highlighted. So once we've got our, move my mouse over so you can see. Once you have that all ready, hit enter. And we have 10. So that means that 10 of our programs in 2017 had barnacles as the most abundant animals that were caught. Now I'm going to do a little bit generally here. So instead of doing blue crab, there's a couple more crabs down here. Let's see. There's an iridescent swimming crab, long-wristed hermit crab. We're going to lump them all together and we're just going to call those crabs. Now you're welcome to get as specific as you like. One reason I like to group them into the major categories is because it makes our pie chart look a lot cleaner. It can get really confusing, especially when you have more than our, let's see, 70 or so rows of data. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 70 or so rows of data. It can get a little crazy. You can have teeny tiny little slivers that represent one really specific type of fish. So again, we're just going to keep it kind of nice and general. So again, the equals count if formula. Open parenthesis, come here to blue crab. Oops, too far. Blue crabs, both the same for our purposes. Or that comma, open quote, star, quote, and close parenthesis. Scroll up a little bit. Excellent. So our next category will be a shrimp. So since there's only one, we can count that manually. Won't be too much of a headache. Shrimp, and we want 1. So as you go down, you will find other species of crab. You will find other species of shrimp. So you can count them up and add them to these. Sometimes what I do is I come out here, I use the count if function if I have quite a few crabs to count. Do that whole formula and then just add them together with a calculator, with Excel, or in your head. A couple tips and tricks for that. So I'm going to pause this video here, continue with my table, and you should do the same. And we'll meet back up in just a second. All right, so you can see here that finished table. Now the mollusks here, let's see, were my eastern nasses, marginella snails, and the sea hares. So you, again, are free to use whatever category you like. That's just the one that made the most sense to me. Now for our table, we're going to highlight that. Come up to insert in order to insert our pie chart. So you can see pie chart here, but one thing I like to do is look at the recommended charts feature, because that way I can see if I did a good job. Awesome. So pie chart is the third option. This information can be represented in a bar graph, but what we're interested today is the proportions. So out of 100% of most abundant species caught on our Coquina Bayside trips, we want to see what percentage was crab, what percentage was shrimp, and that's exactly what the pie chart shows us, are the relationships relative to 100%. Click on OK. So we're going to change the title here. Most abundant animals Bayside. So that's the title I prefer. A little bit of creativity with that. Now one thing we do want are the chart elements. Click on that menu and add your data labels. So that'll show you exactly how many times crabs were the most abundant animal, barnacles, fish, sea squirts, and so on. Because it is nice to be able to look and see proportionally, but you want to look and also see the exact numbers, be able to quantify it instantly. There are some features up in here in the chart tools where you can find the percents. So see here, it shows, okay, we caught species of crab 35 times and 46% of the time that was the most abundant animal at Coquina Bayside. So lots of different features up here to represent data, again, in a way that makes sense to you and what you're doing and your objectives for your lessons. But our base graph is done. So aside from populating our table, it's a pretty straightforward process. If you or your students use this activity or any of the citizen science database activities, please let us know. Send us some pictures. Invite us out to see what they've done. We'd love to see what you and your students come up with. And we welcome you to look at our other videos in order to see how to construct different types of graphs. Now you can use this graph for lots of different variables in the database. This is just laying the groundwork, so you are now an expert in getting data and creating whatever type of graph you like. Again, thank you for joining me, and we hope to see you soon.